Today, Borderlands is getting another small-ish patch, but for some characters, this is a bit of a heavy-hitting one actually. It's coming with some buffs and some nerfs as well as a lot of fixes, and we're gonna talk about that today and what it means for those characters. So first of all, we have a stability issue that was caused by hitting the max Guardian rank. That is apparently fixed now. And furthermore, Hollow Point is also fixed. If you're unaware what Hollow Point is, in the Guardian ranks you have the Enforcer tree, and if you max that out you get the skill Hollow Point. Killing an enemy with a critical hit causes an explosion around them. That particular skill caused damage to allies as well, making it a bit of an issue because you could basically kill your allies accidentally all the time. It was initially deactivated and now it's been re-enabled and will no longer damage allies. Some people also report that the skill deals damage to yourself, so I'm not sure what will happen to that part. But I don't know if that's a common issue or if that's intended anyways. Furthermore, there was an issue where some people were unable to unlock the Ultimate Vault Hunter achievement on Xbox, that's fixed. And on PC, when joining a friend, your mouse would sometimes not work, that's also fixed. As well as the bank glitch that would make your bank disappear. That is finally gone as well. Unfortunately, there's no mention yet of the save file wipe, which seems to me more of an issue with the Epic launcher, so we'll see when we see a fix to that. And now let's get to the Vault Hunter changes. Now these changes are being made to balance out the characters more in the sense that all skill trees are viable to use and one doesn't drastically outperform others, or all builds at least. I don't think that'll be possible at this stage, but we're seeing some steps in that direction. But it also means some pretty heavy nerfs on certain effects. Fl4k gets a buff to rack attack. This will now have a guaranteed status effect on the rack attack on any enemy that is damaged by it. What we're not told is how this status effect is applied, as in which one we are getting when. If this is completely randomized between each attack or if there's some way to control it, but we'll find out about that when it's live. Leave No Trace has a re-trigger delay of 2 seconds now, and this one is huge if you know what Leave No Trace does. So the effect is, when Fl4k scores a critical hit, there is a chance for 1 ammo to be added to their magazine. Maxing out the ability gives you a chance of 36% to get that ammo to your mag. On its own that doesn't sound that crazy, but if you add in certain items and effects, it becomes very effective. If you use Fade Away as your action skill and level into Guerrillas in the Mist, which was also nerfed recently, then you have a guaranteed crit chance for 5 seconds now. Combine that with a weapon like Hellwalker, which has a high number of pellets, and you're guaranteed to get your ammo back every time you shoot. That means a weapon that is effectively meant to reload after one shot never has to reload, and that means you can spam a ton of damage, and that was a problem in Gearbox's eyes, and the skill is now getting hit pretty hard. With a 2 seconds internal cooldown, this will not be effective in that playstyle anymore. What surprises me is that they don't increase the chance in return a little bit. I could see that in certain builds that could be very strong if you make the chance too high, with like sniper builds, where you just crit enemies from a distance. But 36% for 3 points seems relatively low now with this internal cooldown. Now many people think this has completely destroyed Fl4k, but it is worth noting that there are builds that don't even utilize Leave No Trace, namely those which have a weapon with ammo return for crits, for example, as it is the case for King's Call or Queen's Call. So killing bosses with those items should still not be an issue, but at the same time, of course, this limits your weapon pool drastically. On the other hand, Fl4k gets a buff to BARBARIC YAWP in the Master Tree. And this one could be interesting. Unfortunately, the wording is a little bit unclear here. So what it says is that BARBARIC YAWP stat bonus increased by 100%. Currently, the pet bonus is 20%. Now the question is, by 100% meaning from 20 to 40%, or by 100% meaning to 100% per rank? From what it sounds like, an increase by 40% per rank sounds more likely, 100% per rank sounds like a lot. But let's look at both hypotheticals. In one case you will end up with 200% pet bonuses, in the other case you will end up with 500% pet bonuses. If it's 200% pet bonuses, that would mean that you get 15% extra damage while using the skag, in total including the base value, 15% extra movement speed with the jabber, or 3% of your maximum health per second with a spider end. So there's a possibility for more sustain focused builds through this now. If it's actually a 500% increase, then we're talking 30% damage increase with a skag, which would be huge, 30% movement speed increase with a jabber, also pretty huge, or 6% of your maximum health per second with the Spider End. Combining this with pack tactics could lead to some relatively high damage increases through the Master Tree, though I still feel like the Master Tree needs some more love before it becomes fully effective, but I would say this is a step in the right direction at least. The other changes are more quality of life focused. Pets can no longer push you around, which is nice, and the touchpad prompt is now less prioritized when you're looting or using vending machines or slot machines or something, so it's not quite as annoying. But Flag is not the only character who got hit. Moze also gets a nerf. This one is her Demolition Woman skill tree, because at the moment she has ways to basically infinitely spam grenades. There are certain builds that facilitate that, utilizing items like the Flacker or Murph Hex or the Quasar, and that is not intended. The skill that's getting nerfed here is a Means of Destruction, which gives you a 10% chance to return ammo and a 6% chance to return a grenade whenever you deal splash damage. Much like Flag skill, this will now have an internal cooldown of 2 seconds. So you will still have plenty of ways to spam grenades anyways. I don't think this will be as much of an issue, and honestly, Moze is overall in a pretty good place with various different builds, the only weak side being her mech, so I think this nerf is not really a problem. Generally, one of the main issues that Vault Hunters are still facing is that many action skills are not as useful as they should be, and for Flag, the pets are not really doing as much as they should be in late game, so this is something that I think has to be tweaked a bit in the future. Outside of that, we also have some miscellaneous changes. GIGAMIND, KATAGAWA Ball, and Billy the Anointed had their balance adjusted. GIGAMIND has reduced health now, KATAGAWA Ball will no longer regenerate its shields, and Billy had 25% of his health removed. Especially Billy just felt like a very long unnecessary fight, so I can absolutely see that. Bloated Rags will spawn less rattlesnakes, which is a change targeted at the Cistern of Slaughter. Zane has a change being adjusted the cooldown values when they are displayed for Zane's skills. I'm actually not quite sure what this is supposed to mean. I think it's just about the display here, really. Amara's Glamour skill will now turn enemies on each other as described in the action skill. That's great. At the same time, I don't think it's that great of a skill in most situations anyways, with some exceptions. Modified the loot spawn for SERA of Supremacy. Spider and Emperors occasionally won't drill back out of the ground, which created a potential progression blocker in the Proving Ground of Survival. We've adjusted this and the issue has been addressed. Resolved an issue that could have prevented enemies from spawning while in Devil's Razor. Lavender Crawley's physics were adjusted to prevent them exiting the world like a pot balloon. Never seen that one, but that would probably be funny to watch. Further safeguarded Apollo from being launched out of the world as well. The Rampager will no longer enter an idle state at inappropriate times. Saurian Slinger's attacks were addressed, not quite sure what was addressed about them. Guardians will now use all their attacks in playthrough 2, and Guardian Wraith will now reliably use all the range attacks. I was wondering why they were doing such low damage overall. That explains that. NPCs in the Slaughter maps were reported to sometimes attempt to automatically revive players in the arena. Going forward, they will no longer attempt to revive players. How unfortunate. And the glow effect when opening a read-in ammo chest has been minimized, so you can more easily see the ammo inside when opening it. Those are the changes for now. I think there are some interesting ones among them, as well as some that will cause a lot of controversy. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching. If you're new to the channel and you want to be updated on more Borderlands news, then feel free to click the sub button and ring the bell. It helps me out. See you for the next one tomorrow. DukeSloth out.